Viewers, tonight is yet another night where Donald Trump has presented us an opportunity to expose hypocrisy of the United States, of course. A carefully nurtured relationship between India and US for over 25 years is now completely unraveling under the presidency of Trump. As if the 50% tariffs on India weren't enough, Donald Trump's team is now taking it a step further to mount pressure on the Indian government. They now believe that the Ukraine war is quote-unquote Modi's war. Would you believe it? Let's first tell you what was said by one of Trump's senior advisors. This is what Navarro had said. He's talking about a war. He says, I mean, Modi's war is what Peter Navarro, the White House trade advisor, says. The road to peace runs through New Delhi, is what he told a particular interviewer on television. India getting in bed with authoritarians, says Peter Navarro. China is not your friend, says Peter Navarro as well, and also goes on to add about Russia. Come on. But like I said, viewers, tonight we must expose the United States and their antics. Their bid to hide their own hypocrisy using their fakery must be called out. Look who's actually purchasing Russian oil. China, 47%, India at 38%, the EU at 6%. And this is, of course, when it comes to oil itself. When it comes to natural gas, EU is the largest purchaser of it. What about that energy? That's not being looked at. If that's not all, let's take a step further. It's not like US can wash their hands of the Ukraine war either, claiming that they have nothing to do with it. As per Donald Trump's own admissions in the past, the United States has been very much involved in the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. When it comes to Ukraine, $300 billion of military aid has come in from the United States. When it comes to Ukraine, $100 billion has come in from Europe. When it comes to Israel, $18 billion of military aid since the Gaza war began. What about that, President Trump and Mr. Navarro? That's a big question coming in. That's not just it. The Prime Minister has made it very clear time and again that India is not in favor of any war. And he's made such statements on multiple platforms over several years. Only non-Western leader to appeal for peace is where Prime Minister Modi's position is very, very clear. He's made 6 appeals from 2022 to 2025. He's asserted repeatedly that this is not an era of war, at least 6 times. And yet, not only does Trump continue to claim that he brokered the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, which he did not, but he's now threatening to further impose higher tariffs on India. He believes this is going to have the Indian government rattled.
I'm talking to a very terrific man, Modi of India. And I say, what's going on with you in Pakistan? Then I'm talking to Pakistan on trade. I said, what's going on with you in India? And the hatred was tremendous. Now, this has been going on for a hell of a long time, like sometimes with different names for hundreds of years. But I said, what's going on? I said, I don't want to make a trade deal. No, we want to make a trade deal. I said, no, I don't want to make a trade deal with you. You're going to have a nuclear war. You guys are going to end up in a nuclear war. And that was very important to them. I said, call me back tomorrow, but we're not going to do any deals with you, or we're going to put tariffs on you that are so high. You were there, Howard, right? Yes. You're going to put tariffs on you that was so high, I don't give a damn, your head's going to spin. You're not going to end up in a war. Within about 5 hours, it was done. It was done. Now, maybe it starts again. I don't know. I don't think so, but I'll stop it if it does. We can't let these things happen.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Let's take this across to our guest. Joining us is Dr. Anand Ranganathan. He's continuing with us from debate number 1. But Dr. Jeffrey Gunter, former US ambassador, is with us. Dr. Gunter, it's a rather bizarre statement to be coming in from someone who's such a senior official in the Trump administration. What does Navarro mean when he calls it Modi's war? The United States has funded Ukraine. The EU is purchasing more natural gas. China is purchasing more oil from Russia. But somehow it becomes Modi's responsibility. How? What's the logic?
Great question. Happy to be here. Love being on your show. You guys do an amazing job of informing the public. But let's be honest. 1.5 million barrels a day are being bought by India from Russia, and that money is then used to fund the war between Russia and Ukraine. India is buying at a discount. India is then having Russia process the crude and sell it around the world. This is funding the death and destruction that we're seeing in Russia and Ukraine, and there's no arguing.
And what about the money that comes in from EU and China? That vanishes into thin air. That money doesn't go into Russian coffers. What's the logic, Dr. Gunta? At least for a country that's been your friend, or for a country that you have a strategic partnership, the least one can expect is parity. But far from parity, there appears to be a clear bias against India from the Trump administration.
No, there isn't. And let me tell you, when you say has been a friend of India, I'm going to push back hard on that. America and India are great friends. President Trump loves Modi. That's why he's able to call him and go, hey, what's up? Like Navarro said, why are you guys crawling into bed with China? Why are you crawling into bed with Russia? We have our deep values of democracy and love of democracy between India and America. And there's absolutely no reason why you guys should be crawling into bed with the two of them over what? Over money.
Well, it appears, Ambassador Gunta, you're pushing us certainly towards Beijing and Moscow. Whether that happens or not is another story. But I want Dr. Ranganathan to respond to that. Dr. Ranganathan, we're still great friends. But this is a very strange way of showing friendship where you send an insult a day.
No, look, the only thing that was lower than Navarro's credibility is his intelligence. And frankly, I'm disappointed with Dr. Gunta. But the fact remains that he's being as hypocritical as Navarro. Maybe he thinks that the job of Navarro is going to become his in a few months' time. What are we talking about out here? Let me give you the specifics. 2 years ago, it was America that prodded every nation, including India, to buy Russian oil after the Ukraine-Russia war had started because they wanted to stabilize the oil prices. If India is buying oil, Russian oil right now, so is Europe. If Europe is buying Russian energy, so is China. Why is only India being penalized by the 25% ad valorem tariffs? And the fact of the matter is that America is still buying $1 billion worth of oil processed from India. Is it not true what Putin said recently in Alaska? That ever since Trump came into the picture, the Russia-US trade has increased by 20%. So you guys are financing the war. I mean, honestly, it's not a fact that you don't believe in hypocrisy. You still believe that people will not notice it. I'm sorry, Mr. Gunta, Dr. Gunta. People are noticing your hypocrisy. So either you stop it or you carry on believing that the emperor has no clothes.
Dr. Gunta, I want you to respond to that because, you know, the fact is this. The fact is that there is one country which has bought $2.5 billion worth of uranium, plutonium, and palladium from Russia. Do you know which that country is? Are you aware which that country is?
Ask him.
Dr. Gunta, are you aware?
I don't play gotcha games, so please go ahead.
It's the United States itself. You're doing trade with Russia. And somehow when we do trade with Russia, that becomes a problem. At least don't be hypocritical when it comes to your own standards. At least practice what you preach, sir.
Hypocrisy is being one of the greatest democracies in the world like India, a great champion of peace. Hypocrisy is getting on your show saying Modi wants peace 6 times, but then buying oil cheap and then flipping it on the market to fund the death and destruction of millions of people in Ukraine and Russia. And nevertheless, I can promise you, just like our great secretary said of Treasury, we will work this out with India. But right now, we need to stop the war. We need to stop the killing. And let's be honest, India are the kings of tariffs. You don't have to sit there and lecture me about America putting tariffs on India. Let's face it, I think the last time I checked, y'all were number 2. Oh, but it's saving our sovereignty. Absolutely not. You guys have huge tariffs that you guys put out there So now that you're seeing the effect of those tariffs, it's a little bit of a problem. But let there be no misunderstanding. The American people love India. The Donald Trump loves Modi. And a deal will be made to not only repair or continue with the great friendship that we have with India, but also to stop the killing. And if you don't believe that President Trump is the peacetime president, go ask the people in Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Well, is it tariffs or is it the Russian war? Which is it? Certainly not very clear. But Dr. Ranganathan, quick response to what Dr. Gunter is saying.
Yeah, he's like a cheap suit all over the place. It's a simple question. China is buying more Russian energy than India. Europe is buying more Russian energy than India. Why have you not imposed 25% tariffs on EU and China? It's a simple question, Ambassador. Please answer it. Please don't embarrass yourself. Just straight answer.
I have a simple answer for you.
Yes.
The simple answer is this. If India and China stop buying oil from Russia, the war is over. The war is simply over. So that is the simple answer. You might not like it, but it is a simple answer.
But why have you not imposed tariffs on China?
No, so is the United States scared of China?
I'm telling you.
Is that why you're not imposing tariffs on China? Because you're shutting down universities, you're shutting down H-1B visas, but when it comes to China, suddenly there are, hundreds of thousands of Chinese scholars who get sudden admission into the United States. What's going on there, Ambassador Gunter?
Why are you crawling into bed with the Chinese?
Hypocrisy much?
I don't get it. Why are you crawling into bed with the Chinese over the money?
You are.
India.
You haven't imposed tariffs on China.
India can absolutely stop this war by cutting off the buying of Russian oil. Very simple. Cut the money off and the war's over. And look, then we'll nominate Modi and President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, good Lord. We're back to the Nobel Peace Prize. Dr. Gunter, it might actually occur to you that there are some countries and some world leaders who are not hankering for the Nobel Peace Prize as President Trump appears to be. It might be his personal peeve or personal ambition that does not necessarily fit in with the rest of the world leaders. Why should we be clubbed in?
I think India needs to step to the plate, cut off the money going to Russia, and they will save lives. And you know something? Modi can talk peace, but now it's his chance to make peace.
Dr. Gunter, this is one thing, and I'd like to bring in Dr. Ranganathan on this. But Dr. Gunter, the time of, certain countries telling India how to behave, where to buy oil from, which countries not to deal with, all of that got over in 1947. India was been a colony. We've had an experience of that. And we're certainly not going to take instructions from any other country of how we need to conduct our business. Given the kind of past that we've had, we are quite certain that we will adopt our own independent foreign policy line, and we're going to continue with that. And Dr. Ranganathan, I want you to respond to Dr. Gunter on that, because that, appears to be the cultural or historic insensitivity that this current regime in the United States seems to be blissfully unaware of, or is ignoring deliberately.
I'm afraid Dr. Gunter has stopped listening to others. He's just hearing his own voice. Because if I was not, then he would understand that we have an independent policy to take care, like Trump rightfully is thinking of Americans first. We are thinking of Indians first. Did you know that by buying Russian oil in the last 2 years, Jeffrey, please, Jeffrey, 1 second. Please let me finish my argument. In the last 2 years, India has saved $26 billion by buying Russian oil instead of Saudi oil. All that money has got into our welfare schemes. India is a poor country. Our first association, our first responsibility is to our citizens. We have held inflation in check cumulatively 1.47%. If you want to impose high tariffs because you think of American workers, on what grounds do you believe that India will forget its Indians?
Respond to that, Dr. Gunter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact that you've endorsed President Trump's policy of America first and India first, and actually understanding the concept that we're great friends and we are great allies, and this too will be negotiated. Will be negotiated by Modi doing what's best for the people of India, and it'll be negotiated by President Trump doing the best for the people of America, but also peace around the world. So we can agree on that.
All right. All I can say is that what's being perceived to be tough talk from the U.S. administration is not going down well at all here in India. And certainly, of course, the U.S. administration would do very well to introspect and ensure that this rhetoric which really runs a very serious risk of, worsening the ties between the two countries which have worked on both sides across the aisle, ensuring that there's bipartisan support for this relationship. All that work of the last 2.5 decades can unravel if the administration isn't careful, and such unfortunate statements keep repeating themselves as they have over the past 2 weeks. Thanks so much, Dr. Ranganathan and Dr. Gunta, for joining us this evening.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.